Are you still recording voiceover slides in PowerPoint? If so, you're working much harder than you need to. Descript lets you write, record, and edit your slides in a Google Doc-like interface using scenes and AI to create up to 10 times faster. Let's get started. Before I demo how you actually record the voiceover slides, I want to get you familiar and introduce you to the new interface when you log into Descript. With these new with the new AI features, they're trying to make it easier when you open the tools so that you can get started quicker, get working on a project, find what you need, because that is always the most challenging part when you start to learn a new tool is where everything is. When I'm logged into my Descript account, I can see in my home, the new interface here is starting with how can they help you? Do you want to clean up your video? Do you want to generate video with an avatar? Do you want them to use their AI to edit your podcast? And so much more. So this is a good start if you're looking to use Descript, is that the interface helps you get started right away. And then the menu bar here on the left is just where everything is. This is where all your projects live. Quick recordings, if you're doing some quick video recordings with the screen recorder, you'll see them in here. Learn Descript is all about how to do different things in Descript, so you can watch different videos, tutorials about Underlord, how to do a video, audio, podcast, etc. Brand Studio, this is where if you are doing any Brand Studio is where you can upload any custom fonts and colors so that if you're uploading any logos to your videos, everything is already in here so that you can easily access them when you modify your videos. AI speakers, this is where you can, one, clone your voice or have someone else clone their voice. AI speakers is where you can clone your own voice. I have not done it yet, but you can also have someone else clone their voice for a project with their permission and have it loaded in here so that you can access this for any projects. A layout packs, this is where all the different styles of templates, and you can create your own template as well in here. And then private workspace versus your personal workspace is where, let's just say you're collaborating with a team. Private workspace would be your own private workspace, and my workspace would be my personal projects, which I can share with someone else. And private is something I'm working on that I'm not ready to collaborate on. So now let's get started with the actual tutorial. I'm going to go into projects. And what you're going to do is click on New Project, and they will ask you for either video or audio. And then we're going to select video for the purposes of voiceover slides. And then I've started a project already called Descript 2026 Tutorial. And this is where you have two options to start creating voiceover slides. I'm going to give you option one, which is how you can use AI, specifically their Descript AI, which is called Underlord, to generate voiceover. And then I'll show you option number two, where you can start writing out your own script and then using the AI speaker, AI voice, or you can just draft it and then later on record it yourself into the script. So the first thing I did was, let's just assume that you're creating an online course, and I just picked a topic of biology. And your biology course will have 6 lessons. You'll want to imagine that the way Descript works is everything is in scenes. So if your course on biology basics has 6 video or 6 lessons, you'll want to think of each lesson as an individual scene. So my first scene will be on biology basics, so an introduction to biology and why this lesson is important. This is just a 3-minute script that they've generated using AI, using Underlord. Now, if I'm ready to create another slide, when I'm ready to create another lesson, I'll just click backslash, and that will be my second lesson. Now, some caveats to note, some things that might be helpful when you're scripting this is it may be helpful to start in a document and just have an outline and then copy and paste into Descript. Or you can just start brainstorming and writing directly in Descript itself. It really depends on timing and what you're comfortable with. The first one, I used AI. And so what I did was I can say to AI, my
shorten the first script to 1 minute, because this right now is 3 minutes and I don't want to generate 3 minutes of voiceover, because then that will cut into the credits, the AI credits in Descript. So I'm going to shorten this to 1 minute and I'm going to say shorten this to 1 minute. And it will take some time. Does have, AI does take some time. And so it says, I'll help you shorten the first script to 1 minute. And then the idea is not that I'm going to use AI for all this. I just wanted to show you that if you wanted to start with AI first, you can start with AI first and then condense it yourself after rereading it. I always recommend, personally, my workflow is to start with myself first and then lean on AI, because it does tend to give me better results. So now they're thinking and generating ideas to shorten this first script to 1 minute. And so now they've shortened it from 2 minutes and 17 seconds to approximately 58 seconds. And as you can see, it was longer before, and now it's much shorter. Okay, so now that is how you use AI. That's how you use Underlord. It's really all about prompting and just being very specific and giving as much context as you can to help them come up with the right output. I have generated the first voiceover script in my first lesson in my course, and now I am ready to begin the second lesson of my course. And here I'm not going to use Underlord AI. I'm going to start brainstorming myself, and then I'll show you afterwards how you record and edit it as well. Let's just say, I'm going to say, now we are ready to start lesson 2. Pardon my spelling. 2, which is all about anatomy and human biology topics. This is more in depth, and please take your time with this lesson. So I'm not going to write too much because I just wanted to show you how it works. I'm done scripting this lesson. If I am not comfortable with it, now that I'm done scripting this lesson, I can generate the audio using AI speakers, and I can also generate this using AI video, or I can record this directly with my computer microphone or with an external microphone. So now that this is done scripting, I'm ready to add an AI speaker to this. This is only if you want to use AI voice. If you don't want to use AI voice, you do not have to. But this is for people who don't want to speak and record and want to use AI voice. So you can click on Add Speaker, and they will give you a choice of new speakers. And so this is where you can browse AI speakers. They have a wide range of choices, or you can, as I mentioned before, you can clone your own voice. So if I browse my stock speakers, I can see that there's so many different choices. And let's pick, for the sake of this project, conversational adult.
Life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important. Capture the good times, develop from the negatives. And if things don't work out, just take another shot.
As you can hear, that was one of the many voices. I just say, let's just choose Libby. And then there's so many different choices of voices. I would personally go through everything to make sure it fits your project. And if it doesn't fit your project, then you may want to consider cloning your own voice. Although I know that there are some caveats to that, which I can talk about in another video. The most important thing to remember is you can either choose from a stock speaker, you can choose from an AI speaker, you can clone your own voice, you can choose from an AI speaker, you can clone your own voice, or you can directly record it into this project. Let's just pick Libby. Let's just pick an example. Let's just pick someone. Let's just pick an example. And so now Michael is going to be the voiceover for this project. And it will take some time because this is a long project. Now you can see how easy it is to use AI voice in your project. If you're like, oh, I'm not comfortable with AI, I want to record my own voice, you just click on record. And this is where I'll say, I'm going to record.
We'll just click on record, and then we're going to make sure we select audio only. And this is where I'm going to just start talking into the microphone and just generate some fluff audio for the demo of this video. And as you can see, it's uploading my audio. I've got 11 seconds of audio.
Now that we're ready to move on to recording our next lesson in our course, we can click on record, and we can choose from recording our camera, screen, audio. And so what I love about Descript is if you're creating this course, you can work with different types of video, audio, or camera all within the same project. Now you're ready to add your video. So we'll hit here, record. And this is where I'll start talking, and as you can see, I can record myself into this video frame. I'm recording myself into this specific project. And once it's done, you'll see how fun it is to use Descript for your voiceover project, so that not only can you do voiceovers, but you can do video as well.
I want to review and show you some of the AI features and other elements that are helpful to building your online course. As you can see, I've already made some edits. If I want to make more edits, I can highlight this specific words. I can highlight this entire stretch of text, and then it'll give me the option to either strike through it, or if I want to highlight it because I didn't like it and I'm going to re-record it, I can just highlight it myself. And then I can leave a comment if I'm working with an editor or collaborator, and they can review it to see if they think it really needs re-recording it or not. I can leave a comment for a collaborator so they can review this specific section and whether it needs to be re-recorded or not. And as always, there is Underlord here to help me to decide whether this needs re-recording if my collaborator is not available. The other element I want to show you is the AI tools. These are really helpful if you needed a copy editor and you don't have one. You can edit for clarity. They will not only remove filler words, but also any digressions, and let's just say you repeat yourself a lot, which I do. And so this can be a really helpful tool. I always say use it, review it, and read it out loud to yourself to see if it sounds okay. I like studio sound sometimes. If my audio quality isn't great and there's a lot of background noise, then I can apply this specific section and click on studio sound and have them enhance this specific section of audio. And then it will take some time because depending on your computer and our processor, it's not an instant. It can be really fast or really long. And in the case of mine, it may take some time. But let's keep going. The other tools that I wanted to show you within the AI tools that are really helpful is the remove filler words. You can click on remove filler words and they will look for all the filler words in this project and let you know and review before you have them removed. The other tools that I like within the AI suite of tools is removing retakes. So if I accidentally make a mistake and I re-record a specific section, I can just have them remove the duplicate retake. And then if I have a long word gap in between because I'm thinking about what to say, then this is where shorten word gaps is really effective. And then there's also eye contact. So sometimes if you're forgetting to look at the screen, as I did in this specific sample, I can click on eye contact and it will change from me looking at my screen to looking at my camera. Green screen is great. So if you can see my background isn't the most exciting background, and that's okay because that's where green screen can automatically change this to a different background. And so let's take a look at green screen. I select this and then click on green screen, and then I fix the project. And you can see they removed my background, and I don't really personally like it because as you can see, now I look like I'm cut off. If I'm doing like a video podcast or a video interview on Zoom, they can automatically adjust the multicam so that it highlights who the speakers are in it. And then, as with many AI tools, they can generate an image, they can generate videos such as B-roll, and they can also blur the background. So like for me, maybe green screen doesn't look good, but I can try playing around with this blur background and we can see how it looks. It doesn't really fit here, as you can see, but that's something to explore on your project. Now we can look at the other important elements for your project, which is creating a title. Let's say at the beginning of this lesson, I want to make a title that says lesson. I'll highlight this and say this is lesson 1. And then I'll click on title. And then they'll give me a title, and then I'll say lesson 1. I'll type that in, lesson 1. And then I want to adjust this because it is too big, and clearly no one in my class is going to read it. So I'll change it to something bright blue. And this helps me to see when I'm editing. And then you can see I have a duplicate. I clicked on it twice, so then I can adjust it and make it smaller. I can also shrink it to 50 here. And then I want to move it to here so that someone can see it. And then if I select on this and it's a duplicate, I can just delete it itself. And it's pretty easy to do. And then the last thing you may want to do is you may want to put like a text box around here. And so I can add a rectangle. And then I can adjust it so that it is framing this specific lesson box. And there I have a title rectangle box around my title. And then the last tip that I want to show you that may be useful for your online course is medium. I think online courses are really effective when there's an experience from it. And so you might want to consider adding some light music. And this is where there's so many different kinds of music, and sound effects might be great if you're teaching a lesson on biology and you're talking about like a explosion or volcano. Then you can use the sound effects to really enhance how students think about that lesson. But if you're looking for some music ideas, there are some here. If you don't know what to choose from, you can say, help me choose, I need music suggestions that are light and background music for my course. And they will pull up some suggestions which you can review. And then after you review those suggestions, you can decide which one fits your course really well or not. Maybe you don't like music, and decide which one really can add to the project. And then once you choose one, you can say, I like suggestion number 1. And then Underlord will go ahead and add it in for you. And so that's one of the nice things about using Underlord. It does save time by giving you some suggestions, helping you make some decisions, but ultimately review and see if it really fits before you go ahead and insert any music recommendation from Underlord. And so that is an overview of Descript, how to use Descript, and how to use Descript for your online course. Now you are done creating your online course and you are ready to load this into Thinkific or any other LMS. You want to click on export and you want to click on video, and then you want to click destination, and this is where you want to do a local export. So you want to export directly to your computer hard drive, or sometimes you're like, oh, I'm ready to just put it into my Google Drive. Then you can click on Google Drive because then it saves room on your hard drive and puts it in the cloud. You can choose YouTube as well. But if you choose local export, it'll tell you how large the resolution. You can upgrade to 1080 and then click export. Now, rather than export this as one long video project, so this is one scene and this is a second scene. And so rather than export them all as one file, because they're going to be individual lessons in my online course, what I can do is highlight this scene and then click on export. And then I can do local export and then select current selection, because current selection and or current scene, because that's really what is important for me to tell Descript, is that I only want this current selection, which is 33 megs versus the whole project, which is like 1 gig. That way, when you're exporting, it doesn't take up so much time. You do have to manually export each scene, which is time consuming, but it makes the experience of watching each small lesson much more effective. So that's how you export the lessons. If you would like to support this channel, feel free to use my affiliate link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.